Welcome to Academic Gurus Tutoring Thursday, where we answer all of your high school, college, and university questions. If you would like your question to be featured on next week's Tutoring Thursday, please submit your questions to questions@academicgurusinc.com. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay current with all of our new videos. Today's question is an inequality question. It was posed by Pretty Girl 32, and the question reads, solve and graph the inequality. Absolute value of 4 minus v is less than 5. A. Write the inequality as two inequalities without absolute value. B. Solve the inequality and write the solution set. C. Graph the solution on a number line. Now, in order to successfully solve this problem, I think it's important to have a firm grasp on the properties of inequalities. So before starting, I will do a short review on the properties of inequalities. Here we have a very basic equation where the absolute value of x is equal to a. This means that x is equal to a, or that x is equal to negative a, where a is some constant. If we were to draw this out on a number line, we would draw this out with two closed circles at points negative a and a to reflect the fact that x is equal to only the values a and negative a. Here we have an inequality that says that the absolute value of x is less than a. This means that x is greater than negative a, but less than positive a. On a number line, we would draw this as a solid line connected to two open circles at points negative a and positive a. The open circles reflect the fact that negative a and a are not included in the value for x. X is any value between negative a and positive a. This next inequality says that the absolute value of x is greater than a. This means that x is greater than a, or x is less than negative a. On a number line, we would draw this out as an open circle at point negative a connected to an arrow that is moving in the negative direction, and an open circle at point a that is connected to an arrow moving into the positive direction. In other words, this number line is saying that x can be any value except those numbers that lie between negative a and positive a. Now that we've reviewed some of the properties of inequality equations, we can go back to Pretty Girl 32's question. Part A asks us to write the inequality as two inequalities without absolute value, where the inequality states that the absolute value of 4 minus v is less than 5. If we refer back to our review, we can see that this applies to the second property, where the absolute value of x is less than a. A in our case is the value 5, and x in our case is 4 minus v. From our review, we understand that x should be greater than negative a, but less than positive a. So now if we go back to our original question, we can use this property to rewrite this inequality as 4 minus v is greater than negative 5, but less than positive 5. Now the question is asking us to write the inequality as two inequalities without an absolute value. So we can write the inequality with respect to positive 5 and with respect to negative 5. Part B asks us to solve the inequality. In other words, it is asking us to define the values for v which allow the inequality to hold true. In order to define the variable v, we have to isolate it. Therefore, the first step requires that we add negative 4 to both sides of the inequality. After adding negative 4 to the first inequality, we find that negative v is less than 1. After adding negative 4 to both sides of the second inequality, we find that negative v is greater than negative 9. Now that we've removed the 4, the second step requires that we multiply both sides of the inequality by -1 in order to get rid of the negative sign in front of the v variable. After multiplying both sides of the first inequality by -1, we find that v is greater than -1. After multiplying both sides of the second inequality by -1, we find that v is less than 9. Take note of the inequality signs. Anytime you multiply an inequality by a negative value, the orientation of the operator changes direction. The second part of question B asks us to write the solution set. In other words, it's asking us to define the parameters of the values for which the variable v holds true. Given that this is an inequality, we will use open brackets to reflect the fact that -1 and 9 are not included within the variable's values. That is, v is greater than -1 but less than 9. Part C asks us to graph the solution on a number line. If we refer back to our review, we'll find that we should be using a solid line that connects two open circles at the parameters for which v holds true. Therefore, going back to our question, we will draw a solid line connecting two open circles at points -1 and 9. So again, this illustrates that the variable v can be any value between -1 and 9, not including -1 and 9. So there you are, Pretty Girl 32. We've managed to write the two inequalities without absolute values. We've solved the inequality, written the solution set, and graphed the solution on a number line. Thank you for tuning into our Tutoring Thursday channel. If you enjoyed watching this video and found it helpful, please give us a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. We would love to hear from you. Until next week's Tutoring Thursday, happy studying.